Oh, there you are. How you doing, my friends? I hope you're doing awesome. Today I'm going to be giving you a quick overview as to why you should sign up for PMP exam tech camp. So I'm going to show you the breakdown of the exam. That is the
Oh, there
PMP
you are.
exam.
How you doing, my friends? I hope you're doing awesome. Today I'm going to be giving you a quick overview.
Okay. So let's get this show on the road. You can see I'm showing you a file in Excel. And I'm just going to break down for you the percentages on the exam so that you are aware of what we are going to be covering. What we're going to be covering from Monday to Friday. Perhaps I should give you a little overview about Tech Camp. We've already had one session and we stopped the session on Friday. So we did 5 days, Monday to Friday, and 3 hours, kind of 2.5, 3 hours, because we didn't want to keep people for too long. But we did roughly 3 hours every one of those days, about 2.5 hours, and then a few minutes of Q&A at the end of each session. And what we covered the previous week were those areas that people consider to be technical, if you will. So we covered, just to give you an idea of what we did the iron triangle or the triple constraint, if you want to call it that. We did scope, schedule, cost, we did risk, and then we hit it with quality. And we just followed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like that. Boom. We were done with 5 very difficult areas that people consider to be a threat to their PMP exam. I mean, people really get scared of these triple constraint items. When you think about scope, it's enormous. It really is. Think about it. Just the scope baseline alone, without getting into validate scope or control scope or plan scope management, that's huge. It really is. So when folks showed up, they were really ready to lap it all up and to jump in, and they did. In fact, our first graduate from the class, Krishnan, got certified today with 5 above targets. 5. You know what it is to get 1? So he came onto the course last week and stopped on Friday, and he got certified today, Thursday, not even a week after. So it shows you that he definitely gained a lot from the class, as you guys will gain a lot from the class. So if you are thinking of jumping on board, hopefully by the time we're done, you'll understand why it's a good idea. Now, let's break down what we're doing next week. Next week, we're going to take this same Monday to Friday curriculum, and we are going to hit the following areas. So let me break down those areas for you. We're going to do the areas that people often think that these areas are not as technical, but they're wrong. You see, I've shown you the 5 everybody runs away from, but the other 5, those are worse. I'm telling you, people don't know that the other 5 areas, what are the other 5 areas? Watch: integration, resources, communications, procurement, and stakeholder. People do not know that these are the more weighty areas. I'm going to show you right now why these other 5 that people often neglect, these other 5, I'm going to show you why they are so important. They really are so important. So watch this. When you think about integration, you might just see it as a binder like glue, but integration is a beast. I'm going to show you why I'm telling you this. Let's break it down into the process groups, okay? So think about initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and last but not least, closing. Think about those. All right. So when you think about initiating and integration, let's take the days of the week and put them to the side for a second. And let's focus on the knowledge areas. All right. So when you think about integration, let's highlight it. Integration within initiating is a massive amount of your exam. Develop project charter and all of the little bits and pieces. My, oh my. You got to think about your business case, your benefits management plan. You got to think about what follows initiating just before planning begins, like your kickoff meeting. You got to think about all those techniques used for developing the project charter. And then you got to get into the details of the charter itself and the assumption log. My goodness. This is why people just blow past the important stuff and they hit a brick wall on the exam. This stuff is huge. It is massive. So you are playing with 6.5% of your exam from just one process in integration. And then to follow up on what exactly is happening, develop project charter, you are also interacting with many other processes. In fact, did you know that all the processes that a subsidiary plan is developed in, did you know that the project charter is used as an input to all those? This is a big process, my friends. This is massive. Do not underestimate initiating and integration together. It is a crazy mix. Now, going a step further into planning where you have developed project management plan. See, where you have developed project management plan, there is something else going on here. Okay, for those of you just joining, I'm talking about the relevance of the topics for next week on PMP Exam Tech Camp. And if you want to join that tech camp, you need to go to pmsucceed.com. It's ridiculous for just $13 an hour. You can get world-class coaching and training on these areas, which I'm going to show you. At the end, you are going to see how big these 5 areas are on the PMP exam. See, a lot of people blowing past all of this and saying, oh, earned value is my problem. No, it's not. No, it's not. A lot of people don't know what is lurking on the test. All right, so let's zoom into planning. In the planning process group, within integration, you got one process, right? You got develop project management plan, which theoretically brings everything together, but I'm being a little bit conservative here. In fact, I'm being very conservative to say, let's assume we get 1 for 1 in planning, 2, 24, 10, 12, 1. So let's say that in the planning process group, let's give them 1% per process and equally just distribute them across the board. Even though I know that develop project management plan is probably a lot bigger. It's definitely a lot bigger than I am assuming. But I'm going to say, okay, let's say develop project management plan is 1%, which I'm quite sure it's not. But let's be conservative and say it's 1%. If it is 1%, then we can go ahead and put 1% in there just to be conservative. So let's put 1 in there. All right. For those of you that are just coming, we have the percentages of the exam that I'm taking a look at here. All right. So let's just call this percentages on the exam. This is going to be an eye-opener for lots of you because I don't think you've ever heard me talk about the economies of scale and how certain process groups may be bigger than others, but when you slice them across the knowledge areas, it is an eye-opener. Seriously, integration is the worst. It's the worst of all of them. The bang for the buck is incredible. It's incredible, really. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. As I go through it, if you have any questions, I want you to feel free to chat them in, okay? In the next few seconds or minutes, you will see the chat box appear on the right-hand side of the screen. Well, my right, your right, my left. Okay, my left, your right. Okay. So let's get that chat box open. Just in case you guys have questions, I am always delighted to answer your questions. Okay. So let's go back to our little map of the PMBOK world. Here we go. All right. So those of you on, hang on a second. Those of you on, what do we call it? Savage on Saturday phase 2. If you wanted to hop on and chat, I'm going to put a link into the group. So if you wanted to come on and chat about the economies of scale, or when I'm done with all of this stuff, you got any questions, you know, the quickest way to catch my attention is right here in the webinar. So I am posting the webinar information into the group. And if you care to converse, you can come on and do that. And also our friends in the Savage on Saturday phase 1 group, I will also include a link for you guys to chat if you so desire. All right. So in both groups, phase 1 and phase 2, you're going to get a chat. So those guys who are in phase 2, I know lots of you are very close to taking the exam. I think this will be a very good eye opener for you. All right, so let's go back to our Excel sheet. And in planning, we've generously given 1%, or should I say stingily, more like it, given 1% to develop project charter. All right. Now in executing, you know, you've got two processes from integration. All right. Now let's be very fair here and let's account for both of them. So in executing, what is the number of processes in executing? You've got, you know it, 2, 24, 10, 12, 1, right? So you've got 10 in executing. What percentage of the exam is from executing? 31. So 31 divided by 10, 3.1% per process. So 3.1 for developed project, I beg your pardon, direct and managed project work, and 3.1 for managed project knowledge. All right, so let's give those two. Now, when you add all up, you see that we've got 13.7 already. Already, we're not even at the end. All right. Now let's go a step further. Let's put in monitoring and controlling. So we've got monitor and control project work and perform integrated change control. So think about it, think about it, think about it. 2, 24, 10, 12, 1. Let me just put this up here just so you remember. It's 2, 24, 10, 12, and 1. Okay? So those are the number of processes. What are the percentages on the exam? 13, right? 13% there. 24 here. 31 here. 25 here, and 7. Let me do my calculations and make sure I didn't miss any. There we go. It is 100. Okay. So think about it. In monitoring and controlling, you got 2 in integration. And if you do the same thing, 25 divided by 12, let's do that here, equals 25 divided by 12, 2.08, roughly 2.1, if you will. Okay, so let's round it up to 2.1. So let's give 2.1 to monitor and control project work and 2.1 to perform integrated change control. For closing and integration, it's a straight 7. Boom. That is what you are playing with in integration. Take a look at it. Let's sum it all up. $24.9. Let's just round it up to 25. My goodness. I know when I started and I told you integration can be 25%, a quarter of your PMP exam. 1/4. Wow. One knowledge area is a quarter of your PMP exam. My goodness. Ridiculous. I know a lot of you have never really boiled it down like this and thought about how big integration is. It's a beast. Now, when you think about why it's a beast, let's make sense out of it, okay? So I'm going to make another sheet here for you to have a thorough analysis of what integration is really all about and why it's so big. So let's get rid of some of this noise and let's focus on the intricacies of integration. So right here, we have developed project charter, right? We have developed project management plan. We have monitor and control, direct and manage project work, I beg your pardon, monitor and control project work, perform integrated change control, close project or phase, and manage project knowledge. When you think about these processes, my friends, what exactly is happening in these? A lot. This first one, develop project charter, this is authorization for the project. No wonder it is so big. No wonder it's so relevant. See? Develop project charter, authorization. You cannot do anything if you're not authorized. Or think of it like this. Develop project charter is authorization for phase. You see what I'm saying? This stuff is big. Seriously. Now think about develop project management plan. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. You can have all these subsidiary plans, but if they're not talking to each other, you're in trouble. Seriously, you are in trouble. So we want a plan that is integrated. You've probably heard the term integrated master schedule if you're in government space or if you're in aerospace. Speaking of which, we're having a tough time in that industry right now. That's why we need solid plans and execute on those plans. So the integrated master schedule or the integrated plan or integrated baseline or whatever you call it, it is all integrated in one process. It's integrated in developed project management plan. See? That's why this is a very important process. Even though I have stingily given it 1%, I guarantee you there are probably more than 1% of questions surrounding the project management plan. I mean, look at page 89. And I'm not talking about the individual subsidiary plans. I'm talking about the integration of everything. You see? What about direct and managed project work? This is where deliverables come from. What are you doing on a project if you don't have your deliverables? Your product, your service, your results, your lab experiment results? What are you doing? That's why it is so important. You see why integration is so big? Integration is massive. Monitor and control project work integrates all of those monitoring and controlling activities to give you insights overall across the board for the whole project. Insights as to why you're late, or how come your SPI is a 1.2, or your CPI is a 2, which is very concerning. Did you pad? You see what I'm saying? So this process right here, monitor and control project work, it exposes you to what exactly is happening on the project and why. No other process does this. No other process. In fact, in managed communications, where you are sharing the reports without monitor and control project work, you won't have any reports to share, because even the ad hoc reports are going to be carved out of the report from MCPW. See what I'm saying? I'm not exaggerating this stuff. Integration is massive. What about perform integrated change control? Perform integrated change control integrates all of the changes. So even if you get changes from control schedule, you still need PICC. You still need to follow the process for change control. See? What about monitor and control project work? Same thing. Without this, you're just having disjointed pieces of cost forecast, schedule forecast, but they're not speaking to each other. That's why integration is huge. It's more than glue. It's the whole thing. Integration is the box that everything else is in, not just the glue. Take a look at managed project knowledge, sharing of knowledge in the organization. Without this, it will be disjointed. That's why a lot of firms, they've got no cohesion in their lessons learned. They don't have a lessons learned register. They don't have a lessons learned repository, and everything is disjointed. Seriously. So when you take a look at integration as a whole, you need to recognize, my friends, that this is the boss of all knowledge areas. Seriously is. All right, let's take a look at one more piece of the puzzle. Final piece of the puzzle of integration is close project or phase. If you do not close out your project in a systematic fashion, you got loose ends. That's why this is 7% of your exam. It's big. It is really, really huge. All the paperwork, all the closure procedures, this is where it's all happening. Now think about a project where you close out different phases and move to the next. Without this, how are you going to move to your next phase? That's why it's called close project. Or, see, a lot of people forget the or. And because they forget the or, on the exam, they're thrown for a loop when they come across questions talking about phase closure and talking about implementation, because they really can't understand that you could have several pieces of implementation happening over many phases. So you got to recognize this, folks. Integration is big. It's the big kahuna. It is. So with these, you understand, oh, no wonder it's 25% of the exam. No wonder. Yeah, no wonder you got that right. It's big. And that's why next week, for those folks who are not planning to attend, I wanted to have this to alert you to the importance of these 5 knowledge areas. I am going to be covering the relevance of each of these 5 in various tiny little webinars. This is the first where I wanted to address the importance of integration Later on this afternoon, I will return and I'm going to be talking about the relevance of all of the other areas. But integration, since it's so ridiculously massive, gargantuan compared to the others, it needed its own webinar. So at this point, I just want to ask if you got any questions that I can answer. I would love to do that. And if you don't have questions, no worries. You can always send a message through the channel. And as soon as I am able, I will respond. So at this point, have you got any questions about anything that I have shared? Okay, if there are no questions, don't worry. I am going to be back, I promise, in the next hour. And I will be continuing this journey as to the relevance of the often looked down upon knowledge areas that we have on the screen: integration, resources, communications, procurement, and stakeholder. For those of you who say, okay, Phil, yeah, we've had enough, we've heard, tell us how we can sign up. You need to go to pmsucceed.com or praizion.com. Both roads will lead to this tech camp for next week. So if you're thinking of signing up, just hit that page, okay? Right there, you can see it is very, very competitively priced. Most times you won't even find 15-hour training for anything less than $750 or $1,000, maybe even more. This is $200, just $200, okay? So I would highly recommend, if you really mean business, sign up, okay? Thank you very much for joining me. I see my friend Delita just joined. Delita, we're at the end of this particular webinar, but I'm going to be back later on. And I'm going to be breaking down the other areas. But let me give you a shout out and see if by any chance you have any questions, Delita. How you doing? And do you have any questions for me before I jump off the call? You can chat them into the chat box, Delita, if you can. Delita, are you there? Oh, there you go. Okay. No question. How's your studying coming along? Are you still on top of it, hitting it hard? Are you? Look, Delita, I know you can do this thing. You need to have a positive mental attitude. I mean, that already came with you when you entered the class last year. I know you've got it. You just need to activate it. You already have it. You just need to turn it back on. I know you can do this thing. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Let me put you on the spot, Delita. Let's see. Can you actually speak right now or not? Are you at lunch?
Yes.
You know your buddy Phil will always put you on the spot. But I won't ask you any PMP questions, though. I promise I won't do that. I won't ask you any. Okay, let me unmute you for a second. Okay, hear you. One moment. Okay, you're off mute. Are you there, Delita?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been wondering what's been going on. So Curtis told me that you guys were on top of things and studying, and then I haven't heard from Curtis in like 100 years. And for you, I'm wondering what happened. Did work get the better or what?
I think when I become overwhelmed.
Okay, my friends. So we had our friend Delita from the Praizion Study Group. And if there are any other questions or concerns from anyone else, anyone on YouTube that has any questions, I would be more than happy. You know, I am always delighted to answer your questions. Okay? So if there are any questions beyond, you know, we're going to have our next meeting very soon. But if there are any questions, send them to me. If there's anything I talked about and you don't understand. As I wrap up here, I would like to address. Oh, I see Rachel. Thank you, Rachel, for your chat. Yes, I am here, although about to hop off the call now. But don't worry, Rachel, I will be back. So if you have any questions, further questions about the tech camp, about how to sign up, you know, and even those watching this video like way after March 2019, just go to pmsucceed.com or praizion.com and look for the options that are available for live training, live virtual training. You know, we have a lot of classes that are for our clients on site. But in addition to that, we also have classes that we hold on the web for those who do not have training in their companies, or maybe the training in their companies was not effective enough. I've had a lot of people, so many folks reach out to me and say, Phil, I went for a PMP boot camp. It was not effective. I would like to attend your live course. What do I do? So I've had those as well. All right, so the summary, let me just give you the quick summary of what we've talked about in this session. In this session, we talked about the relevance of these often forgotten aspects of the PMBOK guide. We talked about the importance of integration, and I am going to be going through the importance of the others in the next few sessions, but integration was so important, I gave it its own separate session, okay? So I don't know if Rachel has gone. Faiz, how you doing, Faiz? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for watching. And are you going to take the PMP exam, or are you going to be taking the CAPM exam, or what's your goal? What's your target? What are you looking to do? Tell me, Faiz. I just saw your chat. So if you had sent this a while back, I apologize, but I'm just seeing your chat now. Okay, so let me know, what are you planning on doing? Taking the PMP? And is this your first experience with either of the PMI exams? Okay, I think Faiz may have dropped off. But don't worry, we're going to have another webinar in the next few minutes, all right? Just stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, and when I come back, we'll be able to speak about the other areas and their relevance, okay? All right, my friends, take care. I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.